Okay, this is U.S. and China, turn 6. On the Pacific side of the board, the U.S. has 21 IPCs to spend. They're going to spend 12 on a strategic bomber and save the other 9. On the Atlantic side, they have 38 IPCs to spend. They're going to spend 37 on an infantry for 3, a fighter for 10, a destroyer for 7, and a battleship for 17. The Chinese have 14 IPCs to spend. The Burma Road is open, so they are going to buy 2 artillery for 8 and 2 infantry for 6. Attacks. The Americans will be making 2 amphibious landings in Normandy, Bordeaux, and Holland, Belgium. With, into Normandy, Bordeaux, a tank and an infantry from Morocco, and into Holland, Belgium, an infantry and an artillery from Gibraltar. These attacks will be supported by 3 planes, 3 fighters from the Wasp into Holland, Belgium, and a fighter and 2 fighters and a tactical bomber from the Ranger into Normandy, Bordeaux. And obviously the naval elements will end up in C-Zone 110. Okay, what else? What else? That's it for the Atlantic side of the board. On the Pacific side of the board, the Americans down in the South Pacific are going to load up their 2 transports in Queensland with 2 infantry on 1, and that will make its way to Borneo and liberate Borneo for the British. And then the second transport will go infantry artillery to C-Zone 42 and try and take Java. In addition, the strategic bomber in Queensland will bomb the Japanese transport in C-Zone 42 and get rid of that. The Chinese have 1 attack. They will be attacking Anhui with an infantry from Hopei, an infantry, and a fighter from Kwaichao. So those are all the attacks. Let's roll some dice. It's an attack on C-Zone 42. The American strategic bomber is going to sink the Japanese transport Hikawa Maru, and this is to clear the C-Zone in preparation for the landing of the SS Brown Victory of an infantry and an artillery into Java. So this is an auto kill. There's no dice to roll, but again, just for the sake of the records, the Americans clear the C-Zone. For the amphibious landing on Java, the SS Brown Victory is dropping off an infantry and an artillery. Both misses. Miss. All they need is 1, and that's what they got. Okay, so territory taken with no casualties. Okay, so Java becomes American. This is the amphibious assault on Holland, Belgium. 3 fighters from the USS Wasp are participating, and the SS Herman Melville is dropping off an infantry and an artillery. So what we have are 3 3s and 2 2s. 3 hits, more than enough. German response. Miss. So U.S. takes the territory with no casualties. This is the invasion of Normandy, Bordeaux. A tactical bomber and 2 fighters from the USS Ranger are participating, and the SS Samuel Gorton is dropping off. Oh crap, that's wrong. It should be this way. Sorry. An infantry and a tank. Those are the way the dice should be. Okay. The Germans are defending with an infantry and an anti-aircraft. The anti-aircraft is going to get to shoot at the planes. And missed all 3 of them. That's good news for the Americans. So we have a 4 for the TAC, 2 3s for the fighter, a 3 for the tank, and a 1 for the infantry. Number 2 hits. And we got 3 hits, so more than enough. German defense, miss. So territory taken, no casualties. Chinese attack on Anhui, fighter plane, 2 infantry. All misses. Miss. Misses. Hit. Hit. Okay, China takes the territory with 1 casualty. Okay, non-combat movement for the Americans. The 2 carriers are going to move to C-Zone 110 along with the 2 transports. I was thinking about landing those guys in the UK, but I think I'm going to land them in Holland, Belgium, and fortify so that the Germans have a little bit more trouble taking it back. So we'll see what happens there. The carrier with the fighter on it and the destroyer are going to move 3 into the Pacific in C-Zone 11, all the way over there. So they're going through the canal and are going to try and reinforce the Pacific a little bit with the Japanese threat happening there. In terms of the Pacific, all that happens to happen, the Americans are going to land their strategic bomber back in Queensland, and there's no other movement, okay? This guy's fine where he is. I was going to join him up with the forces here, but nobody can reach him there right now, so we're just going to leave him there. And yeah, that's it. So for the Chinese, they do have to land that plane. They're going to land it back in Kwaichao, and the artillery is going to move from Kansu is going to move into Suiyuan. The infantry from Singhai is going to move into Shanxi. So that's all the movement that we have to organize. Let me tidy up, and we'll be back with placement and money. Okay, new purchases. Fighter in the eastern United States, infantry in the eastern United States, new battleship and destroyer in C-Zone 101, in the western United States, bomber, and then for the Chinese, we're going to be putting 2 artillery and an infantry in Shahar and 1 infantry in Kiangsi. Okay, while we're here, let's do the Chinese income. Anhui is liberated. So that's going to be +1 for them. They're going to go from 13 to 14, and the Japanese are going to go down from 44 to 43. Borneo is liberated. So the Japanese go down 4, and the Brits go up 4. So that's 43 to 39. And the Brits go from 14 to 18. But the Brits actually go down 4 as well, because now that Holland, Belgium is liberated, that means Java and Sumatra go back to Holland. So we're going to go, the liberation of Java means -4 for the Japanese. So let's sort this out. So -4 for the Japanese, 39 to 35. Okay, -4 for the Brits for losing Sumatra, 18 to 14. And then 4 and 8, they're going to bring the Dutch up from 0 to 8. And now over here in the Atlantic, the Americans do take Normandy, Bordeaux, so that's +2 from the Germans. And then Holland, Belgium is now Dutch again. So that's +3 for the Dutch, and so that's -5 for the Germans. Germany was at 35, they're going to be down to 30. United States is at 38, they're going to 40, and the Dutch are going from 8 to 11. So income For the Pacific, they saved 9 IPCs. They have 17 plus their propaganda, so plus 6. So 17 and 6 is 23, plus 9, so that's going to be 32 IPCs. Let me just sort that. So 32 IPCs for the Pacific side of the board. We've 41 IPCs for the Atlantic side of the board, because they saved an IPC from last turn. The Chinese have 14, and the Dutch now have 11. Well, actually, they don't collect that yet, do they? Because it's not their turn. But they will collect 11 IPCs, assuming that they don't get retaken on the next turn. Because, yeah, it's not their turn yet, but they will collect 11 at the end of the turn. Okay. So, disposition of forces in the United States, eastern United States. We have an infantry, a mechanized infantry, and a fighter in C-Zone 101. There's a transport, a battleship, and a destroyer. In C-Zone, whatever this is, 110, we have 4 transports and 2 fully loaded, 4 transports and 2 fully loaded supercarriers, one containing 2 fighters and a tactical bomber, and the other one containing 3 fighters. In Normandy, Bordeaux, there's an infantry and a tank. In Holland, Belgium, there are 4 infantry, 1 artillery, and 1 mechanized infantry. So that's that for the Americans. Over on the Pacific side of the board, down in Borneo, there are 2 infantry, and in C-Zone 43 there's a transport. In C-Zone 42 there's a transport, and in Java there is an infantry and an artillery. In Queensland there are 2 infantry and 1 strategic bomber. In Midway, trapped, are 5 infantry, 1 mechanized infantry. In Hawaii there is a lone anti-aircraft artillery, and then in C-Zone 10 there's a destroyer. In C-Zone 11 there's a destroyer and a carrier with 1 fighter on it. In the western United States there is 1 strategic bomber. So that's that. Italy's going to be up next, so let's see what happens there.